Thelma was released in 2024. This is directed and written by Josh Margolin, and we have a cast including June Squibb as Thelma. We also have Richard Roundtree as Ben, and I have to say, when I read the description for this and realised it was a comedy, I thought this was going to be a really fun experience. And I have really nothing but praise for the film, but it wasn't a fun experience. And I'll explain why, but I won't give any spoilers because I do definitely recommend it. At the start of the film, quite quickly, it's not the first second, but quite quickly, Thelma, an elderly individual, receives a phone call from who she believes is her grandson. In a panic, it's a scammer. And immediately I was so angry. Like many people, I think scammers are some of the worst people in the world. Absolutely disgusting non-humans. And straight away, even though it's fiction, it really angered me because obviously this is a reality for a lot of people. A lot of people are scammed and it's a horrible situation. And what I hated about that scene in particular, but credit to the film, is that immediately I felt so much pain for Thelma. Not only is she being scammed, but in that moment she thinks her grandson is in pain, is in a lot of trouble. And nobody wants to hear that of their family members. So there were so many reasons why immediately I just felt so many negative emotions, which is a good thing. If I watched that scene and felt nothing, or indeed felt glee, that would be a bit of a concern. But immediately it told me that yes, while this is going to have comedy in it, and it absolutely does, it's going to be a very challenging watch. And I struggled to get through it, but not because it's bad, but because it's so powerful and so realistic, and that makes it so difficult to watch. Thelma realizes, she learns quite quickly that she was scammed, and her family are supportive of her, and she realizes, I'm not going to let that person get away with it. And here we have this action story as she tries to rectify this. And honestly, first of all, my advice would be don't ever do that. Don't ever go after the scammer because, well, I was going to say that's what the authorities are for. I know that authorities can't always do very much in terms of getting to scammers, but at the same time, I feel like however much money you've lost, you're not going to get it. In most cases, you're not going to get it back by going and knocking on that scammer's door if you can find out where they are. But you might get seriously injured. Now, whether that happens to Thelma or not, I'm not going to say, but I don't think the message of the film is go after scammers yourself. I think maybe if they'd done something ever so slightly different, that could have been the message, and I think that would have been a problem. But the message very clearly is this can happen, and here are some warning signs. And also, if it happens to a family member or anybody, these are the emotions they might be feeling, because as we can see with Thelma, she was really hurt by this, understandably, as anybody would be. And I think it helps to show different perspectives of what this can be like. And as I said, there is comedy. There are moments where it's quite funny. We have some decent humour, mostly from the character of Thelma, because she has this amazing attitude. She is not going to let anybody get away with it. She's not going to let anybody stop her. And again, I don't necessarily completely think that this kind of quest is what people should be doing when they're scammed, because it's probably not the safest idea. But Thelma is a very headstrong, determined character, and while it does affect her really emotionally, she's also determined to do something about it, and I think she's a brilliant character. June Squibb gave an absolutely amazing performance. But all of that being said, I found it to be very difficult to watch because there are so many stories. And the ones that I hate the most, getting quite emotional, the ones that I hate the most are either ones like this, where somebody is told that their loved one is in danger or they're in pain or they're in a difficult situation, playing on that person's emotions to get them to hand over the cash without thinking, or the ones where we have catfishing and they build up a long-term relationship with somebody, and that the emotional turmoil a person must go through having this long-term relationship with somebody only for them to realise that it's not even somebody in their country as they claim to be, it's somebody in a foreign country. I won't name which ones, but there are certain places where this is certainly a lot more common. And to find out that nothing about that has been true could potentially be more painful than the money that you've spent. And a lot of people get themselves into significant debt to help this person they love and, well, they believe they love them. Can you really love somebody who isn't who they say they are? But those stories are horrendous. And Thelma does a good job of helping to show that scams happen. They do affect people. Here are some warning signs. This is how it can affect people emotionally. And of course, we have some comedy there to make it a little bit more engaging. But it's a lot heavier than I expected it to be. I don't know why I'm surprised by that, because it's a very heavy, serious topic. But if I were to say, is this more of an action drama or more of a comedy or a dramedy even, I'd say definitely more of the drama and the action, less of the comedy. It's certainly leaning more to that side. But I came away from it feeling very pleased with the film, very pleased with what they were trying to do, the messages they were trying to deliver. I didn't find it to be as lighthearted as I thought, but that's not a bad thing. I think it's still very memorable. It's a very engaging story. I think the main reason for that is well, the specifics of the narrative, but also the character of Thelma. Just immediately, I liked her. I wanted to follow her story. I wanted to make sure that everything went the way it needed to for her. And, well, whether or not it does, I'm not going to say, but it was certainly an interesting journey. And I'll say no more than that. Thelma is a very powerful film, a lot more emotional than I was expecting. But it does have some more light-hearted moments. And by the end of it, I was very happy with the experience and definitely very happy to recommend it as well. Thelma is a pretty brilliant film.